In the comments on some of my recent videos, I keep reading that tired old stereotype that Argentines are all descended from runaway Nazis. It's obviously not true, but why do people think that? Welcome to A Bloke in Buenos Aires with news and views in English from the capital of Argentina. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment. Investigations are continuing on the wreckage of a submarine found a couple of years ago off the coast of Argentina between Mar del Plata and Bahia Blanca. The old shipwreck lies about 4 kilometers off the coast and has been speculated to be an abandoned World War II German U-boat. The Argentine Coast Guard, supported by an Italian research team, have been exploring the wreck using remote vehicles to try to get a better idea of the identity and origin of the submarine. The wreck is said to be half buried in the sand on the seafloor and very broken up, but the overall shape and size is consistent with a submarine of the German Navy, the Kriegsmarine, of that era. The German embassy has distanced itself from the find, saying that there is no certain evidence of the origin of the wreckage, so it's not their responsibility. The researchers are obviously trying to find pieces, such as the periscope, to help identification from a historic and archaeological perspective, rather than any political significance. It's widely known, or at least assumed, that in the final days of World War II, many important Nazi officials and officers tried to escape capture by sailing away from Europe in these kinds of ships, and that many of such people made their way to Argentina. The passengers and crew would have quietly come ashore in this then sparsely populated part of Argentina, and then the submarine would have been blown up to hide any evidence. South America largely stays out of international conflicts, such as World War I and World War II, and on an official level, Argentina was against Nazi Germany. However, the government of Juan Perón at the time, if not actually sympathetic to the Nazi cause, was happy to turn a blind eye to anyone who wanted to escape to Argentina, as long as they could pay their way. This all became apparent many years later when in 1960, top Nazi Adolf Eichmann was found living quietly in a Buenos Aires suburb and was kidnapped by Mossad agents and taken to Israel, where he was ultimately tried and executed. Eichmann was the highest-ranking Nazi who managed to avoid capture at the end of the war. There is also solid evidence that Joseph Mengele, the doctor of Auschwitz concentration camp, lived freely under his own name for many years in a wealthy suburb of Buenos Aires, even practicing medicine. Ultimately, Mengele fled to Paraguay and then Brazil, where he died of a stroke and was buried in 1979. Who knows how many others passed through Argentina or set up a new life in some quiet corner of the country. These are, of course, isolated cases, but of such notoriety that they've made headlines around the world and smeared the name of Argentina, forever labeling the country as a hideout for the worst kinds of war criminals. The truth, however, is more nuanced. Argentina has always been and remains a safe haven for refugees from all parts of the world. Whilst I've been living here, I've seen the arrival of Syrians, Venezuelans, and more recently, Russians and Ukrainians. All are welcomed without any real questions and assimilated into Argentine society, enriching the cultural diversity to be found here. There was a sudden proliferation of Syrian-run takeaway kebab restaurants across Buenos Aires shortly after the start of the ongoing civil war in their homeland. Any runaway Nazis would have found themselves living alongside a large and long-established Jewish community in Buenos Aires. I've met the descendants of Eastern European Jews who fled both before and after the war, but also those whose ancestors came fleeing the pogroms of Tsarist Russia. I imagine Buenos Aires might soon see an influx of people from Palestine. Such a diverse population has also made Argentina, or at least Buenos Aires, into a truly multilingual society, and the peculiar type of Spanish spoken here is full of borrowed words, particularly from Italian. And while there are German-speaking communities here and there in Argentina, there are a surprisingly large amount of German speakers across the border in Paraguay, whose origins are not much talked about. Thanks for watching. If you like this latest video, please give it a like. And if you're not already subscribed but want to see more content like this, just click on the button. If you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee in the link below. And until next time, que tengas un buen día.